Hi everyone, it's Michelle from Country Morning Creations, and I'm back with day 9 of the 12 days of Junk Journal gift tutorials. Be sure to check out the links below and see the other people who are also doing these tutorials along with me from Friendly Junk Journal People, which is a group on Facebook. And what I'm using, again, just if you are just new to my ones, I'm using the Cheery Pastels printables by Linda Israel and Norella Bouchard of the Calico Collage. So that's what I'm using. And shaker cards can actually be made out of a variety of things. They can be made out of things like window envelopes. They can be made out of CD holders, any of those things. But if you're like me, you can't find them. I actually have all of those things and I just can't find them. You can also make a shaker card this way. So what I've done, I have a 3-inch hole punch and I've already cut out a circle. And I'm going to mark on this, I'm going to do the hole about right here because I don't want to cut out the bird. I don't want to lose that. And I love this. You don't have to be perfect to be amazing. And I'm just going to go around this circle now with my pencil, just like that. So now I have a perfect circle on here, and I'm going to simply take a pair of scissors, and I'm going to, actually I'm changing my scissors out real quick. You know me, I change my mind a million times. My students all get frustrated by that too. But anyway, you just want to kind of very carefully poke a hole in, and then we're going to start going around the circle until we get to where our pencil is, and we're going to cut this out. Now, don't worry about that being close to the edge. I'm not going to worry about that either. I know it's a little bit close to the edge, but we'll be able to glue that all together and glue it all down so things will not leak out of it. So we're just going to very carefully, some of you are probably faster at, some people call this fussy cutting, but for me, I'm being very fussy and want to try to get this circle as good as I can get it. There we go. So now I have that circle. For the back, I'm going to use another one of these oversized index cards that I've coffee dyed. And I'm simply going to line this all up with this lower left-hand corner. And I'm going to use that same pencil, and I want to mark this so that I know where to place my glue when it comes time to glue the two cards together. So now I have that marked. And you want to do this first so that you make sure everything gets lined up, because if you don't, you will learn the hard way that things do not work. So there we go. And I'm not going to worry too much about this extra pencil here because I'm going to go back and put a lace over the whole thing that will cover up all these pencil marks. So not to worry. And then what I simply have here, this is that plastic that things come in from. I mean, this was something I bought for $6 from Hobby Lobby. If you're a crafter, you probably have tons of this plastic lying around. So I am simply going to cut a chunk off. I'm not going to bother with cutting this down yet because I want to glue this piece on first. And I am simply going to use some Fabri-Tac. I like this because I feel like it's going to give a better hold than if I used simply like a glue stick or something like that. I mean, I'm sure there's other glues that would work just as well. I just feel like this is going to hold better, and that's just kind of where I am with all of this. All right, I want to get that glue off before I get it on something else. And I'm going to go ahead and just rub this around a little bit with my finger just to make sure that that's spread out, and also to thin it a little bit so that it will dry quicker. And then I'm just going to press this down to the glue. And then I'm going to set this aside for a minute and let that finish drying while we decide what we're going to, I'm trying to get this glue off real quick. So I record on plastic, it's like a plastic poster board. And it's great for this sort of thing, but if I don't get that glue off pretty quickly, it's gonna dry on there. So there's that. And then we need to throw some shaker things in. So I am simply going to grab a little bit of sequins. I love sequins, and that's probably too many. One of the things I've learned I have to be really careful about is if I stuff too much stuff in the shaker card, it actually will not shake. And that's not what we want. We want this thing to actually shake when we put stuff in it. So the other thing I want to put in there is something that's a little bit more interesting than just the sequins. Now you can do just sequins or sparkles of any kind, but I actually wanted to do some flowers. So I have a little flower punch, and this is some avocado dyed cardstock that I have. And I simply, when I made this, I simply sprayed with a spray bottle the dye onto it. And I'm going to just do 5 of these because I believe in odd numbers. And we're just simply going to put 5 little flowers in this as well. So now that this glue has had a little bit of time to set up and dry, I'm going to go back and cut this off. I'm going to cut it even with the edge here, and then I'm going to cut some of this extra off. This is just all excess, not access, excess, and I don't need all of that. So I'm just going to cut this extra off, and I'm not going to be super neat about it because this is all going to be hidden away, and we don't need to be super careful about it. It just needs to get cut off so we don't have extra in there. And this part wants to fold over, so I definitely want to go back and cut this part off. All right, so now we have this side and we have this side, and when we put this, whoops, I've got everything upside down. Let's try this again. When we put this together now, all the shaker stuff will go inside of this. And so what I've learned, like I said, is if I try to put too many things in there, it won't even shake. So that's the purpose of a shaker card, is for everything to shake. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing already one of my flowers. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the 5th one. And then I'm just going to sprinkle a few of these other sequins in here. So we don't want a ton. And then, oh, I have an extra flower. That's probably from when I first tried to make this tutorial. Now we're going to take our glue, and this is bigger than what I'm going to need, and I will need to trim this back. So I'm going to just make some marks so I don't glue beyond these marks. I don't want to glue beyond these marks. All right, and if I glue a little bit out this way, that's okay. So we're simply going to now take our glue and run it around the edges so we can glue the 2 cards together. And I know this is the boring part, watching people glue things. Wow, that's so exciting. Not really. All right, I'm going to get kind of close to the edge here, but not go right up to the edge because I'm just going to run my finger over all this glue and make sure that it's kind of going to stick. And I think I do need to get a little bit closer around this than I am right now. Trying to keep the glue from popping out the top. So I do want to get this right up close to the edge, and this is why my fingers always have glue on them, because I spread my glue with my own fingers. And I'm just going to pull that up so I don't glue the edge there. And I do want to get the glue more out on this edge. I'm looking at this going, I need a little bit more glue out here. So I want to glue this edge a little bit better. So there we go. Now we're going to simply take this and lay it down over the top. And then we're going to, let me slide that around a wee bit so that everything matches up. There we go. So now this is just, I'm going to let this dry while we're doing the little finishing part to this. The last thing I want to do, because I do want to cover up what I have here, is I'm going to get out this lace and we're going to simply glue this lace around the edge. I'm going to pre-measure it so I can cut it off, and I'll probably leave it a little bit longer than I need it. And that's okay. I'm going to go all the way around and try to come all the way back to here. And this covers up all that ink and pieces that I have. So I know this is probably more than I need, but this is going to just make my life a little bit easier to deal with. So now we're going to take our glue and we're going to glue all the way right at the edge of our card, right around the edge, just like that. And there we go again. I always like to start at the bottom. I feel like it gives a better, that's just kind of where, if I'm going to overlap lace, I want it to overlap at the bottom. I'm not sure. There's probably some design reason I do that. I've just always done that. And so I just wanted to make sure that this all gets glued down. Now, if you wanted to, I suppose you could use paper or washi tape, but I really do find that lace tends to work the best because it's a little bit more flexible and a little bit more pliable, so that it's just easier to go around the edge. Again, this is lace I got from Hobby Lobby. So the last thing I need to do now is to cut the extra off of the card behind it. And we're just going to cut that off the back. So now we have our shaker card. And so see how it shakes? So that is my tutorial on a shaker card for the day 9 shaker cards for junk journals. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you'll hit subscribe as well, and I hope that I've encouraged you to be creative today.